back to the kitchen. We are back in the kitchen today, and it's gonna be all things apples today. My name is Lynn. If you're new here, welcome. And while I was away, my family went apple picking for me. Normally this is something we do every year, but I was worried by the time I got here, we may have had too many frost and there wouldn't be any apples available. And I was right, there have been a lot of frost. So they went picking. They picked, I'm gonna say around 25, 30 pounds of apples. And today we're gonna be using 10 pounds of those, and we're gonna do apple pie filling. So we're gonna be canning. And thanks to my mother, because my KitchenAid attachment I use to normally core and peel all my apples in one fell swoop broke. But it's fixable, but I need David to look at it. So this is 10 pounds of apples, peeled, chopped up into roughly quarter-size pieces, you know, chunks. And I have put some lemon juice on these just to keep them nice and white. And these are Cortland apples. And let me tell you, one of them weighed just shy of 1 whole pound by itself. And I'll show you the size some of these were. This is actually a small one. There was a couple that were a bit bigger than this, but look at the size. I can't even get my hand around this Cortland apple. I like Cortlands for canning and baking. I find those are a really good apple. And if there's a few peelings on, I'm not too, because some of them I did do with my machine before it decided not to work for me, so it didn't get all the peelings off. But it's just a couple, so I'm not too worried about it. And this is also a recipe from the new Ball Canning book. Yes, I finally found it. This is the 38th edition, 140th anniversary cookbook, Ball Canning book. So I was really happy to find that, and I think it was $13 American. It is in the canning section, of course, with all the canning jars. I was looking in, I mean, at our Walmart, I was looking in the canning section, but at other places, I was looking in the book section, never even thinking I should have been looking in the canning sections everywhere. But anyway, I found it. This is apple, actually, the recipe is apple cranberry pie filling. I'm just not adding the cranberries. So though I am following Ball's recipe, I'm going to say it's more of an inspiration than me following it, because there's a few things I'm not adding just due to taste, but that doesn't make it unsafe. I'm still going to can it for as long as it says. I'm still going to add the lemon juice and all that to make it a safe canning recipe. I'm also have decided I don't have any clear gel. And I'm gonna be honest, we didn't like the clear gel when I made the apple pie filling, I think with it last year. Not a fan of it at all. I was gonna do tapioca flour. Some say it is a safe ingredient to use canning, some say it isn't. I have used it before and I didn't find I had any problems with it. But again, you know, you do what you think is best. I've decided I'm not adding any at all. I will add it when I add it to the actual crust when I go to make these, because truthfully this is usually just ends up being apple crisp or apple cobbler or cribbler, as we like to call it in this house. That's usually what I end up using these jars for. I don't usually make an actual pie out of them, so I'm not going to add any of the thickener. My canner is boiling. We've got that going, and we're going to do something with the scraps too, but it's not going to be vinegar. We'll get to them in a minute, but first we're going to get started on the apple pie filling. We're gonna transfer all these apples to my big sauce pot here, and hopefully I can do it without making a mess. And then we're going to add 2 cups of cold water, and we're going to get this on the stove and get this cooking for about 10 minutes.
My wish is that you don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. I'm running, and you should too, and hit that subscribe button. I know what you've been asking yourself. How can I make a difference? I'm just one person.
I can make a difference, but I'm just one person.
Well, my friends, I'm here to tell you that it's free, quick, and easy. Share this video on your social media and make that difference today.
Put that on medium heat. Like I said, we're gonna let it go for about 10 minutes. I put my bowl just to the side because we are gonna need the big bowl that held your apples. So don't clean that and put that in the sink yet. We will be needing it. So now we're gonna be doing something with the scraps. So in my new crock pot I got from Pioneer Woman, we've already used it once to do a roast the other night. I really like it. It's programmable, which is nice, but mainly I like it because of the color. In here, I have all the cores from those apples, and I'm just gonna put a handful, or maybe 2 even, of the peelings, and then the rest go to the chickens. And then I'm gonna pour water over all this. We're gonna make apple cider. Not vinegar, apple cider. I did this last year. It's delicious. I'm down to 2 quart jars of apple cider, so I want to get some more of that on my shelf. Later, after that's cooked for quite a while, I might even let it go all night. I might not get to it tomorrow morning. We will be adding more things to that, but for now, that's set and we can forget it and we can go check on the apples on the stove. Okay, so these have been cooking for about 10 minutes and we're just gonna, and you just want them till they start softening. So we're gonna, it's gonna take too long. We're gonna dump it right back into our big stainless steel bowl. All the water, everything. Trying to get all those. Okay, so right back here in the big bowl. Before we add the ingredients to the stock pot, I forgot to mention that the recipe in Ball is for 3 quart jars. I doubled it. So the original recipe only called for 5 cups of apples. I did 10. So I'm going to be showing you my doubled recipe, but everything, you know, just half it. Sorry. That is my phone going off. Just half what I'm using. So, and I'm also not going to add orange peel. Not a fan of orange in my apple pie, but I am going to add cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger. And I'm not doing cloves either in our apple pie. I really only like that in pumpkin. So, okay, right back into the stock pot we go. I got my sugar and my spices in there. Now I'm going to add the apple juice, and this is my homemade canned apple juice. It's concentrated. So I did 1 cup of water and 1 cup of juice. So that's going to be 2 cups. And I'm going to need 2 more cups. A stir, and then we're going to put a 1/2 cup of bottled lemon juice. We're going to get this back on the stove on medium heat and boil and get it up to boil, and then boil it for 1 minute. Okay, so this started boiling, and at last minute I did add about a 1/4 cup of that tapioca starch. I decided I needed it a little bit thicker, and it's perfect of where I want it. I turned the heat right down so this wouldn't burn, and we're going to add the apples back to this slurry mixture and cook until the apples are really cooked through. That is the exact consistency I wanted. I will say I kind of wish I stopped at 3 cups of sugar. I didn't quite double it. Double it would have been another cup on top of what I did. But it's not too bad. I tasted it and it's pretty good. But it's a little bit sweeter, but I know I can add a little more flour and things when I go to make these, however I'm going to make them. So I'm glad I didn't double it. Okay. I'm just going to keep that really on low. Let that thoroughly heat up and make sure my jars are ready. Okay. We are going to do 1-inch headspace. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to wipe the rims, put on my 4-jar lids, and remember, if you buy 4-jar lids, make sure you use my code Bucket List Homestead to receive 10% off your lids. They are the best lids. I love them, and I wouldn't recommend them if I myself didn't use them and think they were great. So, and I'll be sure and let you know the big Black Friday sale will be coming up soon. Okay. Turn the heat back up to high. I'm going to get this boiling. Once it starts boiling, you set the time for 25 minutes. Okay, the canner has finished. And we're just letting it's been sitting for about 10 minutes and I'll take them out in a minute. First, I'm going to add some big hunks of orange slices to my apple cider. I didn't have any, so I had to wait for David to bring me one home. So we're just gonna put those right in. I think I'm gonna let that go all night. I will strain it, all the pieces out, the orange, the apple pieces and everything. Tomorrow I'll probably add a little bit of clove, let it come back up to temperature, and can it up. And I think it's 20 minutes for pints. I'll have to double check. I will put that down here, the timing on it. Okay, we're gonna get our jars out of the canner. There we go. 6 quarts of apple pie filling to go onto the shelf. And as always, we will let these sit a minimum of 12 hours, up to 24. Check all the seals, make sure everybody's sealed. Wipe everyone down, clean them all off, and then onto the shelf, mark them and onto the shelf. So, still got a lot of apples left, friends. I got all of these, plus a few more than what's on here on the table. So I definitely got to come up with some more things I'm gonna do. I'm trying to think what we really eat, and we do eat more apple pie filling, more than anything, not even apple jelly, because I still have apple jelly on the shelf from last year. So I think we will probably do another batch. I might just do some apples. I might just can some apples and just have canned apples ready to go. That way, if I want to make muffins or anything, I'll have them. So we'll see in a couple days. We'll probably be doing more apples. Until then, take care, God bless, and we'll see y'all soon.